Thank you, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues. I'm proud to rise with my Donate Life mask on today to speak about an important issue. To our newer members, every year we pass a resolution to proclaim April as Organ and Tissue Donor Awareness Month in New York in conjunction with Donate Life Month. It's been a privilege for me to work on this resolution in the past with former Assemblyman Felix Ortiz since 2013. But from 1992 to 2012, our former colleague and friend, Jim Conti, introduced and led this resolution on the floor. For those of you that did not know Jim Conti, Jim was a two-time kidney transplant recipient, a great human being, and a staunch and tireless advocate to promote organ donation awareness. He sat right where Mr. Goodell is sitting. He was our floor leader, but even more than that, he was the heart and soul of our conference. Unfortunately, Jim passed away in October of 2012, and although his passing left a hole in the heart of our chamber, his memory and mission to promote organ donation awareness lives on. That's why it's incumbent upon each and every one of us to carry on this important mission and message, because it literally is about saving lives. When Jim spoke about this issue, he spoke with emotion, passion, and the facts. So let's talk about some of the facts to really keep how important this issue is in perspective. Right now in New York, there are nearly 9,000 New Yorkers waiting for an organ transplant. 1,500 New Yorkers have been waiting for more than 5 years. We have 52 registries across our country, including the territories. New York is number 51 out of 52, only ahead of Puerto Rico. The national donation rate is 62%, but New York is 43%. Again, 51 out of 52. But New York has the third highest need for organ donors, but the second worst donor enrollment rate. Last year, unfortunately, in 2020, we lost nearly 600 New Yorkers waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. This is unacceptable. We can and we must do better. But probably the most important statistic we should remember with this issue is that a single person, just one person donating to the time of their death, can save up to 8 lives and improve the lives of 75 others through eye and tissue donations. This issue has touched a number of members in this chamber over the years. I'll just talk about a couple real quick. Former Assemblyman Bill Hoyt died on the assembly floor waiting for a heart transplant. I was told no one knew until that very day. Former Assemblyman Richard Brodsky's daughter, Willie, received a kidney from his wife. And our former colleague, Felix Ortiz, the sponsor of Lawrence Law, which I'll mention later, became involved because his mother needed a kidney transplant and received one from a sibling. Andy Goodell's daughter donated a kidney to a high school classmate. Mike Fitzpatrick's staffer donated a kidney to a complete stranger. And our distinguished majority leader, who I know you'll be hearing from on this issue has touched her and her family as well. But for me personally, when I talk about this, I think about my sister Teresa. My sister Teresa was a juvenile diabetic, which ravaged her body. Teresa had 2 kidney transplants. First in 2000 from the kindness of a stranger, and second in 2006, I had the privilege to donate a kidney to my sister. Unfortunately, we lost my sister Teresa at the age of 51 in 2013. But when I think about it, I realized she was a lucky one. She received 2 transplants. I did not know how bad the numbers were in this state until I stepped on this floor here in 2011. But I have seen firsthand how organ donation can impact the family. Listen, we've taken a lot of positive steps over the years to bring awareness and make progress. When I used to talk about this issue on the floor, I used to talk about a donation rate of 23% instead of 43% now. When I used to talk about this issue, I used to talk about more than 10,000 people on the wait list instead of nearly 9,000. We passed Lawrence Law. Mr. Conti and Mr. Ortiz were the lead sponsors on that in 2012. Many of us were supporters of that as well. Made it permanent in 2017. It was named after Lawrence Shield, a heroic 12-year-old little girl who had a heart transplant and lent not just her name to this issue, but her face and her powerful voice, and became a fierce advocate for organ donation, now requiring the question to be asked on your license: do you want to be an organ donor? You have to answer the question. In 2015, we passed legislation to allow 16 and 17-year-olds to register their intent to become an organ donor. Personally, as a father, I was so proud when my daughter and son came home from the DMV with their permit, and I saw on their card it said organ donor, and we never really discussed it. They did that on their own. And another very impactful action that we've taken that's moved forward and made progress is several years ago in 2017, we activated and created an online donor registry. You answer a few questions, and just like that, you're registered to be an organ donor. So yes, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, we have made progress on this issue. but we can and we still must do better. And I understand when you talk about this issue, a lot of people don't want to think about it or talk about it because you're really thinking about one's own death. And I understand that. But I always ask the question back, what if what if your loved one was in need of a life-saving organ transplant? Your mom or dad, your brother or sister, your husband or wife, or God forbid, your son or daughter were in need of a life-saving organ transplant. You heard those horrendous numbers I already presented. Might you think a little differently about this issue? I think we would. And Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, we passed a lot of bills in this House, some good, some not so good. But this issue is actually about saving lives. So we should all agree to work on it together. And it does not always require a bill or even a lot of money, but it does require a commitment and effort and on our part to advocate, educate, and promote awareness to encourage people to register to be an organ donor. So please, let's use our offices to help in this effort. Use our mail, use our media, use our social media to get that message out there. And let's work together to expand opportunities, to engage the public and ask the question, will you register to be an organ donor? Give them a chance to say yes, because I believe people are good and generous, and I believe they will say yes if we give them that opportunity. So let's ask the question when they're filing their taxes, when students are filing out higher education service applications, when people apply for public assistance, people are applying for professional licenses and other licenses. We should be partnering with our libraries, with a Libraries for Life campaign. The more we ask, the more we'll get. And in conclusion, I know I started talking about Jim Conte. I just want to finish a little bit about him. Individually, no one can do what Jim Conte did on this issue and can speak to the issue like he did as an individual. But Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, together, collectively as a body, we can do so much more to move this issue forward, to improve our numbers, to bring awareness, to bring attention, and to educate people. And most importantly, we can save lives. And that's exactly what Jim Conte would want us to do, and that's exactly what he would ask us to do. So after passing this resolution here in a few minutes, let's just not move on to the next thing. Let's get to work, and let's work together. So let's use our offices, and let's work together to promote action, awareness, and education on this life-saving, important issue, so we can improve the quality of life of New Yorkers and help save lives. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.